probably heard of Ibis. They've been making mountain bikes since 1981, and they have an amazing 6 different mountain bikes in their current lineup. So today I'm gonna ride all of them, starting with their hardtail, the DV9. The DV9, a carbon fiber hardtail that's not only their lightest bike, it's also their most affordable. This thing is snappy, nimble, and super fun. This thing is a lean, mean climbing machine. Because this thing is so light and nimble, the give and take is it doesn't have a ton of capability when the road starts to get a little rowdy. Of course you can still do it, but you pay for it with physical punishment. Families that shred together stay together. The DV9 comes as a carbon fiber hardtail. The stock configuration has 120 millimeters of suspension by Fox, aluminum Ibis wheels, stock with Shimano XT mechanical shifting. And it also comes with a mechanical dropper. This is my personal bike, so it has a different configuration. I'm running a RockShox 120 fork in the front, SRAM GX Access Eagle, and that's a transmission derailleur. I love those derailleurs. It's got a RockShox Access dropper, NV carbon hoops, topped off with the Physique Ergo 3D printed saddle. And some people think that this saddle gets full of mud in the winter. It's not that big a deal. And if it does get mud in it, you just spray it out. There's nothing there to hold on to. It just washes right through. This bike will forever have a special place in my heart. I was introduced to mountain bikes through rigid drop bar bikes. And the hardtail is the perfect gateway drug to this wild and interesting world of mountain bikes. Just a little bit of comfort, just a little bit of discomfort. And if you're used to gravel bikes, it's amazing how much a hardtail will extend your range capabilities. Really interesting. The DV9, minimal hardtail excellence, but if you're looking for something a little bit more capable, well, that would be the XE. Ibis's cross-country trail ripper that comes stock with 120 mils of suspension in the front and 100 in the rear. This thing is agile, culpable, with a tendency for speed. This thing has its foot in both worlds. The light playfulness of a hardtail, but the capacity and comfort of a full suspension. This is a match for someone who likes long cross-country trail rides or is into racing mountain bikes. I think of this bike as a good toe dabbler into full suspension if you have a background in gravel bikes or rigid drop bars. As it's not so much suspension that you don't know what to do with it. It's just enough to give you a taste for what these bikes are capable of. Whew. If you're into weird bike stuff and like having a good time, consider subscribing. It's completely free and rides better than any dream bike. I know it's a race bike, but I tend to think of it as more playful than competitive. That's just me. It's like a playful pony wrapped in a thoroughbred body. Whoa. The XE is a carbon fiber cross-country full suspension mountain bike. They have 2 carbon fiber builds, a USA made build and a Vietnamese made build at a lower price point. This thing comes stock with Shimano XT mechanical shifting. It's got a 120 suspension fork in the front and a 130 suspension in the back, both courtesy of Fox, rolling on carbon Ibis wheels with Maxxis 2.4s with a mechanical bike yoke dropper. This bike has been sitting at my house for a little too long, and I couldn't help myself. I ended up painting it because I needed it to match my helmet. Oh, all this is definitely more fun than it would be on the hardtail. That was great, but let's see what happens when we kick it up a notch. Enter the Ripley. This is a playful, rambunctious trail bike with 130 millimeters in the front and 120 in the back. As I suspect this trend to continue, this bike feels that much more capable than the XE. Climbing is surprisingly responsive, and it doesn't quite feel like a big old overbuilt mountain bike. This bike feels like a good balance. The Ripley, along with the next bike, the Ripmo, are two of the best-selling bikes from Ibis. And it changes year to year which one is the top seller. And I feel like I understand why. This frame is carbon fiber, and they do offer an aluminum version as well that has a more approachable price point. I would say the Ripley is the sweet spot for most people. It'll handle a bunch of stuff, but it's not super overbuilt. This configuration has Shimano XT mechanical, Fox suspension, Ibis carbon hoops, and a bike yoke dropper. 29er, the front has a minion, 29 by 2.4, and the back is a dissector, 29 by 2.4. Ramble ready. Hey, what do you call this red? Sunburn? This bike feels playful and energetic without taking itself too seriously. With each bike, I can feel the confidence and control going up. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Got it. Oh, this one just raised the bar. We'll see if it keeps getting better. Up next, the Ripmo, Ripley's older brother that just hit puberty. A little more developed, a little more sophisticated, but still down to get in some trouble. The Ripmo is a slacker, longer version of the Ripley. It's based around 29er wheels. It's got a little bit more travel of 160 in the front, 150 in the rear. It's optimized for longer rides, and it just wants to get rad. With Shimano XT mechanical group, carbon fiber Ibis hoops, Fox suspension, and a bike yoke dropper. And for traction control, they're going with Maxxis 29er by 2.5. Everything on this bike, just a little bit bigger. This one's carbon. And they also do make an aluminum version for affordability. And they call the aluminum version the AF. Aluminum. I don't know what the F stands for. Aluminum. You see, I'm so slick. I got so much style. I can out-rep you by a country mile. The fact that the Ripmo is just a little bit longer means it's slightly less nimble, but more planted. Everything's got that give and take. You know, it's funny. Some of these switchbacks are actually easier on this bike because it is longer. The front wheel just swings around the back wheel that much easier. Whoa. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm definitely doing things on this that I don't normally do. Yep. Okay, I understand why the Ripmo is one of the top selling bikes. And if you didn't think things could get any rowdier, the HD6, their enduro race bike. This bike is informed by their long history with the Mojo line. It offers 180 millimeters of suspension in the front and 165 in the back. One of the most interesting aspects of this bike is it uses a mixed wheel set. The front is a 29 and the back is a 27.5. The mixed wheel size does give this bike a unique handling that I've never experienced before. And the reason the rear wheel is smaller is to give more room for the rear suspension, especially on the smaller bikes. There's no fear of the tire hitting the rider with a smaller wheel. Surprisingly, I expected these bigger bikes to be really slow and kind of a battle to climb with, but actually it's the opposite. They're fine to climb with. I'm surprised. Didn't see that one coming. HD6 carbon fiber enduro race machine. It's got carbon Ibis hoops, mechanical Shimano XT group, and a bike yoke dropper. Do you see a pattern? This thing doesn't mess around. Business in the back, party in the front. It's got a side hustle in the middle, and this other thing it's working on. There's a lot going on, and it knows how to do all of those things. On the tires, they're 2.5 in the front, 2.4 in the back. That's right, I said your mama. Your mama. That's right, I said your mama. Oh, wow. Forget how it climbs. This thing was bred to descend. More travel, more control, so much fun. If you're anything like me, this bike is only gonna get you in trouble. Don't talk about And just when you thought that these bikes couldn't get any bigger, there's still the Oso. This is Ibis's big and burly e-endurance mountain bike. And there's a whole lot of bike here. This thing's got 170 millimeters of suspension in the front, 155 in the back. It comes with a Bosch Performance cross-country motor with 3 different speed settings. There are 2 big use cases I've seen for e-bikes. One is for those that aren't quite as sprightly as they used to be and need a little assistance on the ups. Another is for those that want to get as many laps or sessions at the bike park as possible. It's basically like shuttling. It's your own shuttle. And then you're free to descend. The Oso is a carbon fiber frame with aluminum 29 wheels. They're set up with 2.5 in the back and 2.5 in the front. The build on this is slightly different than the rest, coming stock with SRAM GX Eagle with access. Electronic, big range. Love that group. It has a unique upper link DW link suspension system due to the fact that it's a very unique bike. Stock with a bike yoke dropper. This one actually has access, but this is a demo bike, so pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm pretty sure it comes stock with these lights, which is kind of cool. And also, look at the girth of this chainstay, seat stay, one piece radicalness. Hello. And hang tight, I'll let you know which one is my personal favorite at the end of this, but in the meantime, I'm curious, which one's yours?
Yes, that's all. Now the truth is out, really. That moves are what it's all about.
No joke, this thing has some power. I'm only in the 2nd speed, and I am honestly scared to shift it up, but we're gonna try here. Okay, that's 3. This is turbo. Holy shit. Whoa. Oh yeah, I gotta tone it down. Because of the sheer weight of this bike, it is not as agile as any of the other bikes, which makes handling just very unique. It's something that takes a little bit of getting used to. The flip side is the additional power pushes you through things that would normally stop me.
So tell the DJ, your mama. Tell the couple next to you, your mama.
The tagline for this bike is uphill both ways. Totally accurate. The Oso is their longest, most slack bike in the lineup, which means it's very planted, but you give up a little bit of agility because of that. It's just a big boy. Whew. You know, I'm not much of a jumper, so jumping with this heavy bike is way out of my element. I feel super nervous because it feels like the bike is in control. Not that I'm ever in control.
Hold your head up proud and just shout out loud. Your mama, your mama, your mama, your mama.
An interesting thing about the Oso is it completely changes the trail dynamic. You're no longer concerned about a big climb and a steep descent. It's more like one big long ribbon of rad. It's fascinating. All right, well, I've never ridden an entire fleet of bikes before. And out of all of these bikes, which one would I personally pick? Well, I hope my exie doesn't hear this. I think I would have to go with the Ripley. It just felt right. Checked all the boxes, climbed well, descended amazing. It's just a little bit more than what I have. That's my choice. And one more thing to get a full understanding of this experience is to check out this video where we played Marry, Fuck, Kill with mountain bikes. 3 riders, 3 different bikes. Which would you marry, which would you kill, and which would you fuck?